I have found, I gave a little bit of the story earlier in our call where I talked about, I'm interested in learning about a product as a customer, and I click on the book a demo button, and an SDR or BDR calls me up and qualifies me. And I began to realize there's a huge problem and huge opportunity here. Something like 50 or 60 or 70% of all prospects that engage with a vendor, particularly with the click a demo button, are not yet ready to buy. They're just in information collecting mode. And what is going on today, I believe, are two very, very distinct pathways. There's the sales pathway, which effectively says, you as a customer, if you've raised your hand, terrific. My job in the sales pathway is to either qualify you in or qualify you out. If I qualify you in, then we'll continue and hopefully you'll buy from us. Okay, great. That pathway, that's taken care of to the nth degree. But what about if you're qualified out? What happens there? And in my experience, two things happen. You get relegated to the world of marketing and the marketing pathway, which is generally insufficient to provide the prospect with the information that he or she is looking for. So I invented an idea that I'm calling ignition demos, and I think it's something that Demo Desk would be fabulous for. And it goes something like this. If you are a customer, you're a prospect, you realize that there's a problem, you're interested in exploring, are there software tools out there that could help me solve this, but it's not yet big enough to address. But you, as a good manager, you want to begin to investigate things. So you go to a number of websites, you read what you can, you don't find what you're looking for because what you really want is to see a demo, or at least enough of a demo to give you an idea of what is possible in that domain. So you click on the book a demo button, you go through these SDR meetings, and if you get qualified out, you never got the information you wanted, which means that you're going to go to another vendor, try the same thing, and if you finally get a connection, you will be predisposed to that vendor. So here's what, and otherwise you're just frustrated and angry. So here's what I was suddenly realizing. Pre-sales people are often complaining about wasted demos. Oh, I had to do 5 demos today to people that weren't really qualified. The meetings were set by SDRs. We had, they had an account representative and a pre-sales person on a 1-hour
totally
call.
No problem, yeah.
1-hour harbor tour. Waste for everyone. Well, what if you assign BDR-type people, junior-level pre-sales, for example, to engage with the prospects who say, I'm not yet ready to buy, but I would like to get an understanding of your offering. Just enough, just a 10 or 15-minute overview, a true overview. And after which, then they go into the nurture marketing pathway until they're actually ready to be harvested or self-harvest. That, I think, is a really interesting topic for Demo Desk in particular, because you could prepare the script that says effectively, I understand you're not interested in going through a sales process, but I'm here as a browsing assistant, if you will. I'm here to help you browse our offering. And so 20 minutes, let's talk a little bit about your needs, a little bit about your situation, and in return, I'll give you 5 or 10 minutes of vision generation level demonstration. We could talk a few more minutes, and then, you know what, let's both be done. I won't hassle you. I'm not going to try to sell you because you're not ready yet. And hopefully, and we'll send you periodic information. We'll let you know as updates and so forth.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
That's an amazing idea. 2 thoughts I have on this. So one thought is definitely a great possibility to increase the number of qualified leads for sales. I think it just has to be a very efficient process, right? So you have to make sure that less qualified salespeople or less experienced salespeople. So in our world, BDRs, which typically is the stage before becoming a sales rep, right? So typically you start as a BDR, then you move on to an SDR, then you move on to a junior. So if you want to give a demo in the first place, from a very like junior perspective, then it's really very important for the vendor, at least that is what I think, to make sure that he has the right content to show and make sure he has the right talking points available in real time during the call. And that is definitely something where Demodesk could like play a huge role, right? Because we are not only the tool where you can share control and directly also interact with your customer on the virtual screen, but you can provide and set up a structure for less experienced sales reps to make sure they always have the right content available and always have the right talking points available to match the needs of that customer or prospect that they're talking to. That is, I think, something that's super, super important. And then also, of course, there needs to be some sort of qualification process, because like also BDR is someone who costs money, right? Costs the company money. So some sort of qualification probably would be necessary. At least that is what I would think. And I think it would even be one step before the ignition demo, which is also a great word, by the way. I love that. Which could be a pre-recorded video that has a couple of separate sequences that could be compiled depending what the needs of the actual customers are. So there could be even like a questionnaire, and then depending on how the questionnaire has been filled out by the customer. So maybe the questionnaire is already the lead qualification form on the website, maybe like an advanced version of that. And if you provide more information that qualifies you for maybe a valuable customer in the future, but maybe you're not there yet because you're not a problem aware and a solution aware, then you could either have the possibility of watching the video or joining an ignition demo or entering the sales process, depending on where you are and depending on how big the potential is as for you as a customer, right? But overall, I think this is a great idea. And as I said, I love the word ignition demo. I think the sales word needs to become more flexible. And there is more than just one model, which is there's an SDR who qualifies a lead, does the discovery, and then it's being handed over to the AE who then does the demo. And for sure, like the model needs to be and also can be a little bit more flexible in today's world with the tools that we have.
So I had an idea for the SDR BDR group of people, because right now their compensation is almost always determined by them setting meetings. In other words, qualifying people out or qualifying them in, and qualifying them in then moves to set a meeting. Well, what that does, of course, is it frustrates and angers those who get qualified out, right? And so that's the opportunity that is being missed. What if, very simple solution, you gave, for example, 2 points for every prospect that's actually qualified in and really qualified in, and 1 point for somebody that is reasonably discovered and then sent to the nurture or trickle marketing campaigns, so that a BDR actually has incentive to deal with both types of people, those that are ready to buy right now and are actively engaged in a buying process, versus, and I should say, those that are not yet ready, those that are just browsing. So if you change the compensation, you could actually, a demo desk would be fabulous for this. You basically have 2 simple scripts. You've got a branch that says, "Dear Mr. Customer, if you're just browsing, let's have this conversation. And let's just both be honest with one another. You're just browsing. I'm here to help you. I'm going to ask a few questions. I'm going to give you an ignition demo, and then we're done. If, on the other hand, you're actually serious and this is a real project, I'm going to go a slightly different pathway to help you, if you will, move through your buying process." So I can see if you compensate people and you give them the goals and objectives that engage the left side here, if you will, probably your right side of the screen, then you may actually find a very simple and elegant way of solving the problem. You made an interesting comment, and I don't know if this is something you're looking at, but I ideated 3 types of engagements: no-touch ignition demos, low-touch, and high-touch. And low-touch could be done very, 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 very well by an automated tool like what Consensus has today, for example. And I don't know if that's something that Demodesk is also contemplating with a different spin, but the idea of an automated demo that enables, or an automated discovery/demo tool that enables people to basically, pick their own adventure and choose their own job title, is a fabulous approach to a no-touch solution to this. But low-touch and high-touch, you could use this BDR, SDR concept, or even contemplate for organizations that have academies that are harvesting graduates out of university and beginning to train them in pre-sale skills, academy programs that put them first into this browsing assistant role would be a terrific way to teach them products, the customers, some basic discovery, some basic demo skills, basic conversation skills, before harvesting them into real pre-sales roles. So a couple of ideas on that. Still new, still working on this.
Very, very interesting. I think there's a lot of potential in there, especially in the new world, like the new normal of meeting virtually rather than in person. I mean, this was an ongoing trend even before, but still it was less normal in the old world and is now the new normal, right? I really like that word, new normal, because it just describes today's world in such a clear way. I think there's so many additional possibilities to help the seller, to augment the seller and provide him with everything that he needs.
Yes, it is an area that's underserved. It's a huge opportunity that the wise vendor will seek to embrace, because it really represents an opportunity to engage large numbers of prospects that otherwise are underserved and, frankly, made a little bit angry by the processes today. So I think the early adopters of this are going to find that, well, there'll be two parts of this. The early adopters of this will find that their pipeline will grow richer and broader as they go forward. The challenge, though, is going to be that there is a hysteresis. There'll be a lag time before you actually see yield out of this. And maybe the takeaway on this is, I cannot tell you how many times I've had deep discovery conversations with somebody who was not quite ready to take a demo skills workshop, and a year or 2 or 5, or even in a case that I had recently, I think 7 years later, I got an email response to an email that I sent 7 years ago that simply said, "Okay, now we're ready."
Okay. Was the product even available at that time?
It's great. It's technology, but it's an
oh,
example
okay, that's the product. Oh, awesome. Perfect.
There you go.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, that's quite an investment, though, to invest in someone that only materializes 7 years after. That's incredible, right?
It's pipeline is what it is.
Yeah,
but it's an extreme example. But the fact that the most interesting thing about this is that what this guy sent was simply responding to a message that he had kept for 7 years.
Crazy.